Have you ever walked into a room and immediately noticed that woman? She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't rush to explain herself. She doesn't chase attention. And yet, people naturally adjust around her. They listen. They pause. They take her seriously. And maybe you've wondered, what does she have that I don't? Is she just born confident? Is it her looks, her status, her personality? Here's the truth that can quietly change the direction of your life. Respect is not something you're born with. It's something your behavior teaches people to give you. Confidence and respect are not personality traits. They're patterns. Patterns of how you speak, how you pause, how you respond under pressure, what you tolerate, what you no longer negotiate. And today, I'm going to walk you through 10 practical, realistic shifts that help you become a woman who is naturally respected without becoming cold, aggressive, or emotionally closed off. Stay with me until the end, because there's one internal shift that makes all 10 work faster, and most women never notice it. If this channel helps you build calm strength, emotional clarity, and self-respect that actually changes how people treat you, take a moment to subscribe. Now let's talk about why respect starts changing the moment you change. Many women believe respect comes from being helpful, agreeable, or easy to deal with. So you give more. You explain more. You apologize more. You stay flexible, patient, understanding. But have you ever noticed something uncomfortable? The more you try to be liked, the less seriously you're taken. This isn't personal. It's neurological. People unconsciously read your confidence through your nervous system, not just your words. Your body language, your tone, your pacing, your emotional regulation. When anxiety leads your behavior, your brain releases more cortisol. Your voice tightens. Your posture contracts. Your thinking becomes reactive. And other people feel it, often without knowing why. Let me ask you something honestly. How often do you say yes when your body is already saying no? How often do you soften your words so no one feels uncomfortable? How often do you tolerate small disrespect just to keep the peace? This is where respect quietly erodes. Because whether you realize it or not, you train people how to treat you through what you accept and what you reinforce. And the good news is, patterns can be changed. Let's begin. Trick 1. Speak with clean certainty. The first shift is learning to speak with clean certainty. Not louder, not harsher, not more dominant, just clearer. This is where many women lose authority without realizing it. Not because what they say is wrong, but because of how they say it. Most women dilute their message automatically. They add phrases like, I might be wrong. I'm not sure, but sorry to bother you. Does that make sense? On the surface, these sound polite, but psychologically, they're safety behaviors. Your brain learned early that softening your words reduces emotional risk. Each qualifier avoids conflict, avoids judgment, avoids disapproval. And every time you do that, your nervous system gets a small dopamine reward, not for confidence, but for avoiding danger. Over time, one belief forms quietly. Clarity feels risky. Softening feels safe. And that habit, while protective once, now undermines your authority. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever started a sentence with confidence, and then weakened it halfway through? You knew what you wanted to say, but the moment you imagined resistance, your tone shifted. People may not think she lacks confidence. They simply feel less grounded in your words. Because confidence isn't about volume. It's about finality. Clean certainty sounds like, this is what I recommend. This is my decision. I'm not available for that. I disagree. Let me finish. And then you stop talking. That pause is where discomfort shows up. Your limbic system urges you to explain, soften, fix. But silence is not weakness. Silence is a signal. It tells your nervous system, I trust myself enough to stop. And it tells the other person, what I said stands. If silence feels uncomfortable, that doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means your nervous system is craving reassurance. And reassurance is a habit, not a requirement. Small moments of speaking clearly and stopping are how the brain rewires. Your body may tense. Your thoughts may race. That's cortisol, not danger. And when you stay anyway, your brain learns something new. I can be clear and still be safe. I don't need to earn my right to speak. This week, Notice one moment where you weaken your words unnecessarily. Remove just one phrase. Say less. End your sentence. And observe how grounded you feel when you don't explain yourself away. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. And clarity is deeply respected. Trick 2. Boundaries without explanations. The second shift is learning to set boundaries without over-explaining. Not because boundaries are hard, but because many women associate them with guilt, rejection, or conflict. Here's what matters. Women don't lose respect for having boundaries. They lose respect when those boundaries feel emotionally negotiable. And what makes a boundary negotiable? Over-explaining. Long explanations don't make boundaries kinder. They make them optional. When you explain too much, your nervous system quietly says, "I'm not sure I'm allowed to say no." And people feel that uncertainty, even if they can't name it. A boundary is not a debate, not a justification, not a request for approval. A boundary is information. The most effective ones follow a simple structure. A short sentence, a calm tone, repetition if needed, without new details. "I can't tonight. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me." That's it. No backstory. No emotional cushioning. No negotiation. This is where internal panic often appears. Your mind says, "They'll be disappointed. They'll think I'm selfish." That reaction isn't intuition. It's conditioning. Your nervous system learned that keeping others comfortable kept you safe. So when you set a boundary, cortisol rises. Your heart speeds up, and the urge to explain takes over. But here's the truth. You do not need to justify your nervous system. When you stay calm while holding a boundary, something important happens. Cortisol stays lower. Your prefrontal cortex stays online. You don't collapse emotionally. You don't escalate. And that calm communicates authority without force. People push harder when they sense uncertainty. They back off when they sense calm finality. That's biology. Resistance will happen. Some people will say, "You've changed. You're being difficult." That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means the old dynamic is changing. And this is crucial. Resistance is not a sign to explain more. It's a sign to hold steady. "I understand. And my answer is still no. I hear you. And that doesn't work for me." No new arguments. No emotional escalation. Just consistency. People who respect you don't need long explanations. They may not like your boundary, but they adjust. And clarity creates safety. For you. And for others. This week, practice one boundary without explanation. Short sentence. Calm tone. Then stop. Let the discomfort pass. Because on the other side of that discomfort is self-respect. And respect from others follows naturally. Trick 3. Stop negotiating your worth. This shift is subtle and powerful. Because many women negotiate their worth in quiet, almost invisible ways. It rarely looks like confrontation. Most of the time, it looks polite, accepting inconsistent treatment and calling it not a big deal, laughing off comments that sting, doing extra work to earn basic consideration, agreeing just to avoid tension. Let me ask you something honestly. How often do you smile through discomfort so you don't seem difficult? That smile feels harmless, but neurologically, it teaches something very specific. It teaches that your discomfort is negotiable, that your boundaries are flexible, that your needs can wait. And when that pattern repeats, people begin to expect self-abandonment, not because they are malicious, but because behavior sets expectations. Respect doesn't grow where self-respect is inconsistent. It grows when your behavior becomes predictable in one way. You no longer abandon yourself to maintain approval. This is where brain chemistry matters. Approval releases serotonin, the bonding chemical. So when you smooth things over, your brain gets a reward. Connection preserved. But over time, your nervous system learns a dangerous rule. Approval equals safety. Disagreement equals threat. And from that place, confidence becomes exhausting. Because you're always monitoring reactions. Always adjusting. Always scanning for acceptance. Real confidence begins when approval becomes internal, not external. Instead of asking, "Do they like this? Will this upset them?" you ask, "Do I like this? Does this feel aligned with me?" That single shift changes everything. Your posture steadies. Your tone firms. Your decisions feel calmer and clearer. You don't announce this change. You don't explain it. People feel it. They notice that your yes is intentional, that you pause before agreeing. And when you stop negotiating your worth, dynamics change. Some people adjust. Some resist. Some drift away. That's not loss, that's clarity. Because respect doesn't come from endless accommodation. It comes from internal alignment. And aligned women are respected. This week, notice one moment you're about to agree, just to avoid tension. Pause. Ask yourself, am I agreeing, or am I negotiating myself away? That pause alone begins to rewire the pattern. Trick 4, controlled warmth. A respected woman is not cold. She is not distant. And she is not harsh. But she also doesn't leak emotional energy. This distinction is subtle and crucial. Many women confuse warmth with constant agreeableness. So they smile automatically. They nod quickly. They soften every statement to keep others comfortable. Often, this started as a survival strategy. Your nervous system learned, if others feel okay, I'm safe. So your body stays alert, scanning reactions, adjusting tone, managing emotions in the room. But that kind of warmth is automatic, not intentional. And automatic warmth turns into emotional leakage. Your face reassures before there's anything to reassure. Your voice rises at the end of sentences. Your posture contracts. Your energy moves outward instead of staying centered. People feel that, biologically. A regulated nervous system feels solid. An unregulated one feels porous. That's why respected women are often described as calm or grounded, even when they're warm. Controlled warmth means this. You're kind, without overperforming. Present, without over-explaining. Friendly, without shrinking. Warmth comes from choice, not anxiety. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever left a conversation feeling drained, even though nothing bad happened? That exhaustion isn't social. It's neurological. Your nervous system worked too hard. Controlled warmth reduces that. In practice, it looks simple. You speak slightly slower, not to dominate, but because you're not rushing to be approved. You pause before answering, not from doubt, but presence. You smile when it's genuine, not reflexive. Here's the key insight. Warmth lives in your tone. Authority lives in your pace. When your pace slows, cortisol drops. Your voice steadies. And something shifts. Other people regulate themselves. They slow down. They interrupt less. Because regulated people set the tone. True warmth doesn't require self-erasure. You can be kind and contained. Open and grounded. Warm and respected. When you stop performing friendliness for safety, your presence changes. Not because you demand respect, but because your nervous system is no longer asking for permission. And real presence is deeply respected. Trick 5, the no explaining mindset. Here's a reframe that changes everything. You explain for clarity, not for permission. Most women don't explain because they enjoy talking. They explain because they feel emotionally responsible for other people's reactions. You explain so no one is disappointed, so no one feels rejected, so no one judges you. But underneath, your nervous system is saying, I'm not fully allowed to decide on my own. And people feel that immediately. Have you noticed this pattern? The more you explain, the more questions you get, the more pushback appears, the more your decision feels open to debate. That's not because your explanation wasn't good enough. It's because explanation turned your decision into a negotiation. Explanation has one healthy purpose, clarity. Once clarity is reached, explanation should stop. When explanation becomes emotional reassurance, it quietly erodes respect. Respected women operate differently. They don't explain to be accepted. They explain only if information is needed. After that, they repeat. And repetition is not rude. Repetition is regulation. I've decided. That's not something I'm doing. This is my choice. Notice what's missing. No apology. No justification. No emotional cushioning. Discomfort will appear. Your body may tense. Your mind may say, they're upset. I should explain more. That discomfort is not failure. It's withdrawal from people-pleasing. And if you stay steady, something important happens. Each calm repetition builds new neural pathways of self-trust. Your brain learns. I can disappoint someone and still be safe. I don't need to earn my right to choose. People who respect you don't need long explanations. They may not like your decision, but they accept it. Not explaining is not being cold. It's being contained. And containment reduces emotional exhaustion. This week, choose one small decision. State it clearly. Repeat once if needed. Then stop. Let the discomfort pass. Because on the other side of it is a calm certainty that doesn't need defending. Trick 6. Become hard to manipulate. Manipulation rarely looks aggressive. Most of the time, it looks polite, urgent, concerned. And that's why it works. Manipulation thrives on urgency and guilt. Can you just do this quickly? I really need you right now. You're the only one I can count on. If you've spent years being emotionally responsible, your nervous system reacts instantly. Your body tightens. Your mind rushes to solve. Not because you want to say yes, but because saying no feels unsafe. Let me ask you something honestly. How often do you say yes in the moment and regret it later? That's not a boundary problem. It's a pause problem. Manipulation works when there's no space between stimulus and response. So the most powerful protection is simple. You pause and use language that creates space. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. That doesn't work for me. These phrases interrupt the automatic response loop. Neurologically, this matters. When you pause, your amygdala calms. Cortisol drops. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online. That's not theory. That's biology. And from that place, you can choose, instead of react. You do not owe anyone an immediate answer. Urgency is often manufactured. People who respect you can wait. When you start pausing, some people will push harder. They may repeat themselves. They may guilt you. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means the old access point is closing. Becoming hard to manipulate doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming regulated. You stop letting someone else's urgency override your clarity. This week, practice the pause rule once. When your body tightens, pause. Use one of the phrases. Let your nervous system settle. Then decide. You'll notice something important. The world doesn't collapse. Relationships don't disappear. But your self-respect grows. And from that place, confidence becomes calm. Not forced. Not performative. Just solid. Trick 7. Competence without announcing it. Confidence without substance is fragile. It cracks under pressure and depends on validation to survive. Competence creates something different. It creates quiet certainty. Not something you need to display. Not something you need to defend. Something that sits calmly in your body because it's real. Many women wait to feel confident before acting. But the brain doesn't work that way. Your nervous system doesn't trust feelings. It trusts evidence. When you do what you say you'll do, your brain learns. I am reliable. When you prepare instead of improvising, it learns. I can handle this. When you keep learning and following through, it learns. I adapt. I don't collapse. That's dopamine at its healthiest. Not approval seeking, but self-trust built through action. Let me ask you something honestly. How often do you try to sound confident where you don't yet feel solid? Pretending creates tension. Competence removes it. When competence is real, you speak more slowly. You answer more directly. You're comfortable saying, I don't know yet. I'll look into that. Because not knowing doesn't threaten you. Your identity isn't built on appearing perfect. It's built on being capable. Respected women don't announce competence. They don't overshare credentials or achievements. Their authority shows in clarity, in consistency, in calm delivery. People feel it when you don't rush to convince them. Reliability is rare, and rare qualities are respected. You don't need to become exceptional overnight. Competence grows through small, repeated actions. One promise kept, one preparation step, one follow-through. Each one tells your nervous system, I can trust myself. And self-trust changes how you stand, speak, and pause, without trying to impress. That's how quiet confidence is built. Trick 8. Emotional composure is status. Composure is not emotional suppression. It's not pretending you don't feel. And it's not forcing calm. Composure is choosing behavior over impulse. You feel the emotion, irritation, hurt, frustration. And instead of acting from it, you pause. This ability changes how people perceive you. Because emotionally regulated people are perceived as high status, biologically. When you regulate your reactions, serotonin stabilizes. Your body feels grounded. Your voice slows. Your presence steadies. And people respond to that instinctively. Have you noticed how quickly respect drops when someone reacts emotionally in the moment? Not because emotions are wrong, but because reactivity signals loss of control. Composure communicates the opposite. I am leading myself. That's deeply respected. Here's the practical part. When something triggers you, your amygdala activates. Cortisol rises. Your body prepares to react. That's biology. The goal isn't to stop the reaction. It's to interrupt it. The simplest interruption is this. 3 slow breaths. That pause allows your prefrontal cortex to come back online. And from there, you regain choice. Let me ask you something honestly. How often do you respond immediately and regret it later? That regret doesn't come from honesty. It comes from speaking before regulation. Here's the reframe. You don't need to respond immediately to be respected. Slowness under pressure signals strength. If you can't respond calmly yet, wait. I need a moment. I'll get back to you. Waiting is not avoidance. It's discernment. Emotional composure doesn't make you distant. It makes you contained. Your emotions stay with you. They don't spill everywhere. That containment changes how people treat you. They choose words more carefully. They hesitate before crossing boundaries. They take you seriously. Because composure is not passive. It's self-mastery. And self-mastery is one of the most respected qualities a woman can embody. Trick 9. Choose battles strategically. Respected women don't fight constantly. They're not always correcting. Not always explaining. Not always reacting. They are calm until something truly matters. And that contrast is what gives their voice weight. Many women believe strength means addressing everything. Every comment, every tone, every small behavior. But reacting to everything keeps your nervous system activated. Your energy scatters. And your words lose impact. Respect grows when your responses are selective. Let me ask you something honestly. Do you feel exhausted because you're constantly managing small issues, while the big ones stay untouched? That exhaustion is a signal. Your energy is being spent reactively, not strategically. Respected women use discernment. Before responding, they ask 2 questions. First, is this a preference or a boundary? Not everything you dislike requires a response, but everything that violates your boundaries does. Second, is this a moment or a pattern? One awkward comment may not matter. A repeated dynamic absolutely does. This distinction changes everything. When you respond only to patterns, not every moment, your voice becomes clearer. People understand. If she's addressing this, it matters. Have you noticed that people who complain constantly are often ignored, while those who speak rarely, but clearly are taken seriously? That's not coincidence. Credibility is built on discernment. When you speak unnecessarily, your words blend into noise. When you speak intentionally, your words land. Choosing your battles protects 2 things. Your energy, so you don't burn out. Your credibility, so your voice carries weight. Strength doesn't show in constant reaction. It shows in restraint. And when you finally speak, people listen. Because they know you don't speak unnecessarily. That listening is not fear. It's recognition. And recognition is respect. Trick 10. Stop auditioning. Start deciding. This is the internal shift that changes everything. Because all the previous shifts accelerate when this one clicks. Most women move through life auditioning. Not consciously, but energetically. You audition when you enter a room, already checking reactions. When you adjust your words mid-sentence. When you explain yourself before anyone asks. Underneath it all is the same question. Is this okay? Do you approve? Am I still accepted? That question doesn't stay in your mind. It leaks into your body. Your posture softens. Your tone becomes tentative. Your decisions feel uncertain. Even when you're capable. Even when you know what you're doing. Auditioning fragments you. One part speaks. Another monitors reactions. Another prepares to fix discomfort. And people feel that lack of coherence. Now compare that with deciding. Deciding sounds different. Not louder. Not aggressive. Just settled. This is my choice. This is what I value. This is what I'm available for. When you decide internally, your nervous system calms. Cortisol drops. Your body aligns around one direction. No scanning. No self-monitoring. No internal debate. Your presence becomes coherent. And coherence is what people call confidence. Not dominance. Not charisma. Alignment. Have you noticed how exhausting it feels to constantly check if you're doing life right? That exhaustion isn't responsibility. It's indecision disguised as politeness. Deciding ends that loop. It doesn't mean you'll always be right. It means you're willing to stand behind yourself even when others disagree. You stop collapsing under disapproval. You stop correcting yourself to restore harmony. Harmony that requires self-erasure is not harmony. It's submission. So ask yourself honestly, who have you been trying to convince to take you seriously? Before fully deciding to take yourself seriously, when you stop auditioning internally, your body communicates something new. Your tone steadies, your pace slows, your presence settles. People respond differently, not because you demanded respect, but because your system is no longer fragmented. That is confidence, not performance, not perfection, alignment. And alignment is deeply respected. Let's bring everything together. You don't become a confident, respected woman by changing who you are. You become her by changing how consistently you respect yourself. By speaking clearly, by holding boundaries calmly, by stopping the negotiation of your worth, by regulating your emotions instead of reacting from them, by choosing discernment over constant reactivity, and by deciding instead of auditioning. Here's what matters most right now. Don't try to do all of this at once. That's not how the brain changes. Pick one shift from today. Just one. Practice it for the next 7 days. That's how neuroplasticity works. Small, repeated changes create new neural pathways. And new pathways create a new identity. If this kind of content helps you build calm strength, emotional clarity, and self-respect that actually changes how people treat you, subscribe to this channel. This space was created for women who are done shrinking, over-explaining, and managing everyone else's emotions, and are ready to live with grounded confidence. And before we close, one more thing. If you want to go even deeper into your emotional development, I've created a practical guide to emotional self-mastery to support you. It was designed to help you regulate your emotions, stop overreacting or oversharing, and build inner stability step by step. At your own pace. You'll find the guide in the first pinned comment below. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, a woman who is exhausted from being nice and still overlooked, share this with her. Sometimes one grounded message arrives at exactly the right moment. Remember this. A woman who respects herself first doesn't demand respect. She doesn't explain it. She doesn't perform for it. She embodies it. And you can become her, one decision at a time.